Hey, Ernie.
Hey, how you
Thanks,
doing?
Ernie, for taking the time to join us today and help answer a few questions we had that our fan base had that they told us from surveys and other chapter leader calls. Um,
No worries. It was actually sorry, Justin. And I just wanted to mention I thought it was cool meeting each other after the board meeting and discussing various topics. So I thought it was a great idea to have the opportunity to speak to our fans, and so great to be here.
yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. Our fans, I'm sure, and our members and fans, I'm sure, will appreciate this. Earnie Stewart is a U.S. men's national team legend. Played from 1990 to 2004. Played in 3 World Cups, 94, 98, and 2002. He was also either a technical director or a football affairs director for a couple teams in the Netherlands, as well as the Philadelphia Union. He was named general manager of the U.S. men's national team June 6, 2018, and then in August 12th, 2019, was named the sporting director for U.S. soccer. And so, yeah, we have a few questions we'd like to ask, and our members would like to ask you to get some more information. Any information that we can give to the fan base, I think, is a fantastic thing. First of all, could you explain more of what the sporting director's role is and your responsibilities to fans?
Yeah, of course. And I'll back up a little bit because when I got hired first as a GM, it was very much focused on our men's national team, and also knowing that there was going to be a women's national team GM as well. I was asking questions of what does the overall structure look like within U.S. Soccer when it comes to the technical aspect, because I believe there's a lot of elements that you could connect with each other. So a year later, it had evolved to a point where U.S. Soccer thought it was good that there would be a technical lead. So when we talk about strategies and policies within U.S. Soccer on the technical side, it's actually making sure these are implemented throughout our organization in a vertical alignment way. But also cross alignment from men to women, from boys to girls, and then when you look at what we're trying to do, there are two streams in that. There's a longer term vision and plan that has to do with the sport development part. When we talk about coaching education, when we talk about referees, the development academy and club development. And then there's a sports performance side that's more focused on today and the high performance environments that we provide not only for our senior national teams, but also for our youth national teams and extended national teams. And then we're talking about the high performance sides of talent ID, high performance itself, the medical aspect, and an analytical aspect of what we're trying to do on a daily basis.
Awesome. Do you have like some sort of measuring sticks that you have with this role that you kind of go step by step in and that the fans can kind of see and understand?
Measuring sticks when it comes to the total organization itself, or yeah. So right now, and that's what these 4 months have pretty much been about, is making sure that I sat down with all departments from talent ID to high performance to analytics, and what that needs to look like, and making sure that we align each other towards the future. And then every single department has their own way of making sure that they provide to the environment, the high performance environments, making sure that this connection is there, and then reaching and making sure that there's detailed goals that we're looking forward to getting to, especially in the next year. So right now, I would say these 4 months have been around that, having these discussions, making sure that we know what our goals are, how that connects to the higher goal that we have of making soccer the preeminent sport in the United States. And there will be measuring sticks on with every single department going forward.
So right now, there's no GM for the men's team. How's that process going? When do you expect a new general manager?
Pretty soon. I actually, before we started this interview, I actually had an interview with a candidate. So it's pretty far down the line that now we're in the last phase of interviewing candidates, and I expect within in the next couple of weeks that we are going to be making a decision on who will become the next GM for the men.
What is like the new GM responsibilities? What are those responsibilities going to be?
So everything that has to do with our men's national team from a performance standpoint, but also looking at the culture and the environment that we're trying to implement within our senior national team. That also there's a vertical alignment to our youth national teams. In my eyes, on the women's side and on the men's side, the women's side with Kate, and then on the men's side with the new candidate. I think it's important that these high performance environments that we've created with our women's national team and with our men's national team also transcended to our youth national teams. And who better to do that than the person that's in camp all the time? Apart from the environment with our men's national team, making sure that goes all the way down to our youth national teams as well.
One question we get, we've seen a little bit from our membership and U.S. fan base is, why is there a requirement that staffers and coaches must reside in Chicago when, they work and they live and stuff can be done elsewhere?
This is a difficult one for me in the sense because I don't understand the question. That for me goes to, like, when you look outside in Chicago, there's all these office buildings over there as well, where all these companies are housed. If everybody could just work from home, it'd probably be convenient for everybody. But I don't think that's the best way of doing business, especially when you're trying to establish a style of play and identity. These are conversations that you don't only have in camp. These are conversations that you have with other coaches. The connection between the coaches sitting in an office room, and Greg can explain what he does with his coaching staff on a daily basis, which is very important. But also not only Greg connecting with his coaching staff, but also being able to connect with youth national team coaching staff members is going to be very vital and important going forward, and making sure that from a style of play and identity there is a connection. So I believe that you have to be with each other. There's formal ways of having meetings with each other, but there are also informal ways of having meetings with each other, and that happens on a daily basis. It's a job. It's not something that you can just come together every couple of weeks and kind of like go from there. If we really want to create an identity, if we really want to create a style of play, you need to be together. You need to be able to discuss it at high levels, in formal places, in informal settings, and the only way to do that is together, because we already travel a lot. We're on the road a lot, and then you have to take the value of time that you do have with each other is going to be important. Besides that, we're going to be hiring a director of methodology who's also responsible for the style of play. So he's going to be the one sitting together with all these coaches within our offices and making sure that we're all aligned in what we do. Because in the end, it's what we're trying to do is, how would you say this in the best possible way? We might not have the best players at this moment in time when we play the Frances of this world and the Brazils of this world. However, if we as a team function very well with each other, and that once again has a lot to do with your style of play, with your identity, then you can outperform these types of countries. But if we're just going to throw a ball in the middle and see who stacks up best against the opponent, without having the preparation and needed preparation in what you're trying to do on a daily basis when it comes to our style of play and our identity, that's not going to be a good thing. I think within our region, we would be fine. We're going to qualify for the World Cup within our region just because we have a better environment than a lot of other countries in our region, except when we go to the World Cup in 22 and later on have a World Cup in 26 in our own country. That's when push comes to shove, and that's when the performances need to be there at a really an extremely high level, not only for our senior national teams, but also for our youth national teams. And I think a good example is what happened with our 17s They qualify relatively easy within our region, and then we go to a world championship, and it's a different level. And being a team, having a style, having identity is going to make you a better team, and that's why I believe all the coaches need to be together and make sure that we can talk about this style of play. We can evolve it to what winning in the future needs to look like.
Speaking of the future, there is some concern out there about some of the vacancies on the youth teams and some of the recent sort of coaches that have left. What is being done right now to help fill those vacancies and just overall on the youth development and the youth teams?
So I think there are two separate things. So one, it's bringing the coaches in, and then two, I think development, which is something that is really near to my heart. I don't think development only lies within the U.S. Soccer Federation. I think youth development lies much broader within our landscape, and we really need to put our hands together in creating an environment where the best play with the best against the best in a pathway and a pyramid that is clear for everybody. So I would say that that's one of the most important things that we have to put together. And yes, coaches are important for youth national teams, but not only for youth national teams, also for good coaches in general within our academy systems that we have, and we will be hiring youth national team coaches as we speak. Also, those interviews are going on. Once again, in the last 4 months, it was sitting down with a lot of departments was one, but two, also making sure that there's going to be a new GM on board, and then second of all, that we're hiring youth coaches. So one youth coach has already been hired, except we're waiting on a visa process, and there's conversations underway to fill those vacancies as quick as possible. But also in that, it's also looking at the total landscape of how do we influence our players. And what I mean with that is it's not only about our youth national team. Sometimes we have these two elements falling together, where we have a youth national team camp, but we also have games within our development academy system where they're also playing influential and meaningful games. So making sure that this is all aligned with each other, that the influences that we can have at certain ages, that they happen in certain stages within the year, and that we're not conflicting with each other. Because the more meaningful games our players can play, one, internationally, but two, also nationally, I think we're going to be in a good place. So that is ongoing right now, and I hope and expect that we'll be hiring coaches for these vacancies fairly soon.
I appreciate it. Those are the questions we had for you today. I mean, we hope to keep having these sort of conversations with you as we move forward in the future. Appreciate the time again, and hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity as well. And as we discussed after the board meeting, when we had a really good discussion, which I truly enjoyed, I think it's also important at one point, if there's a point in time where we're all at a game, I'll make myself available so people can ask these questions as well, and we can interact with each other. And they might have more questions than you had for me today, but no problem at all. And I'm looking forward to this great challenge that we have as a country, because I think we do need to evolve, especially when we look at our youth development program, because the head coach of our men's national team and the head coach of our women's national team, Vlatko and Greg, we're responsible for the players that they actually get to and have to perform for them. So we as the soccer landscape, and I say we as our fans and our coaches that we have, our pyramids and our academies that we have, are all very much need to be focused on this pathway that we have for our young talent growing up. Because once we have that as U.S. soccer or the U.S., I don't think this country can be stopped with everything that we have. But we have to put our hands together, and we need to be together at all times, creating that pathway and pyramid for our young boys and girls, and then delivering a high product to our coaches of our men's and women's national team, and then we will not be stopped.
Thanks, Earnie.
No problem at all. Anytime.